I am now, thanks.
All right.
All
great.
good.
Good evening, Merrimack. This is the Merrimack Village District Board of Commissioners meeting, May 15, 2023. Public participation is offered by webinar. You can join the webinar by going to the mvdwater.org website and downloading a copy of today's agenda. There is a Zoom link on there. Or you can call 646-876-9923. Enter the webinar ID 874-4857-4084. And as a courtesy, Merrimack TV is also recording this meeting and will be posted on their website at a later date and typically played on cable channel 20 at some point in the future. So at this time, I'll call the meeting to order at 5:02 and ask everybody to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So for tonight's meeting, Ken Ayers and John cannot make it this evening, John Lyons. So we still have a quorum in the room. We have a new commissioner, Erin Clement. So this is her first official meeting, regular Board of Commissioners meeting. So welcome to the board.
Thank you.
Great to have you. Maybe we can start by instead of using all acronyms to describe all of our wells and whatnot, it might be simpler the first time that we actually state everything. So Erin becomes familiar with what we're talking about. And at any point, you have to explain something.
will.
Please just check and let us know. All right. So yeah, the three commissioners are here. So myself, Wolf, and Erin. So we have a quorum and we can commence with the human resource review, finance and human resource review with Kristen Mark.
Thank you. We are 83% through the year. Next month is our last month. Our fiscal year will be over. And we are currently right now as 94% of our budget for income, 80% of expenses of our budget. And last month I had told you that I'd look into the mercantile on why it was so high. What I have found is not only have they increased, we have increased in customers. And I also think that when we did this budget, that we may not have, we may have under budgeted mercantile with the 3-year analysis that we did, 2 of which were COVID, and they were the ones that were hit the hardest with COVID.
And that's on the revenue side, right?
And that's on the revenue side. In terms of expenses, our salaries are running at 77.25% of our budget. We are fully staffed right now. And I also wanted to bring you to the breakdown of the actual budget where I list some things that are going on. If you look at account just past 70750. I added a total line for our R&M accounts because I'm always mentioning that it's a roll up and that we're kind of borrowing budgets for some of the R&M to go into others. So this just to show you that overall our R&M accounts are 68% of our budget. 83% for the year, so we're below budget overall.
What line item was that again?
That's just below 70750.
Okay. Oh yeah, I see that. And R&M is repairs and maintenance.
Repair and maintenance, yes.
I asked that question last week.
Good. Anybody have questions on anything so far?
I do. You said that we're fully staffed, but we're really not, right?
We are for now.
Okay,
Yeah, we're gonna reevaluate.
Make it work with what we got and
Yes.
see.
okay, okay,
See what the need is.
Appreciate that.
In terms of, the other thing I kind of wanted to go over is the reports themselves. The summary that I do for you that kind of gives you a breakdown of what's going on with each account. The one right after that is almost a duplicate. And I'm wondering,
yeah, I've always wondered about that.
do you need that report? The other ones are kind of the same information, but in broken out, either comparing it to last year
Right.
or of course, divided up by the months.
I think the idea was at one point we didn't have year to date in the first one. And this one was a year to date comparison,
Okay,
but I think then later we added the year to date, if I'm not mistaken, right?
yes,
So it kind of makes the second one obsolete.
okay,
I would like to make one quick comment. You said something earlier and you wrote something on here that I think is going to be very confusing and potentially very misleading for voters. Excuse me, you said salaries are running 77.25% of budget. We are not spending 77% of our overall budget on salaries,
just the salary
right?
budget.
So I would
Yeah.
probably suggest that we are a little bit more stringent with that. Sorry for nitpicking, but if you come into this meeting and you don't know what you're hearing, then the public will think that our budget is 77% of salaries and 77% of our annual budget, which is not correct, right? This is the salary, 77% of our
Salary
budgeted
budget.
salary.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Just want to point that out.
I also, if you look past the report for your profit and loss by month, I added a new report, which is our trust fund activity. It's from the Merrimack Village District Capital Reserve balances. And mostly because we are dipping into that for quite a few things for our budget for FY 24. And I wanted to give you guys an idea from here on out, to have an idea when we do the warrants for next year, what we need to fund them back with.
So back to your question, I'm sorry, about the second version. You're talking about the P and L versus actual, right? That's the one you,
Yes,
so it has a couple of columns that the first package doesn't have. So I would probably answer your question if we were able to consolidate those columns,
with the percents, I can do that.
for example, right? So because so we have July till April as one column, we have the budget for the same
It's the
time frame.
amount That's missing,
The percent over budget is actually missing, isn't it?
yes,
Right.
over under,
So if we wanted to add that column to the first report, then I would agree with your statement that we
Okay.
don't need that for the second one anymore.
Kind of combining the two into one.
Yep.
so back to the trust activity, our land and acquisitions, we're about 1.5 million. We aren't taking any requests of funding out of that for this year. Equipment and facilities, we're at 3.2. We have 2 trucks that we just purchased that we need to make a request of. We are looking into potentially dump trucks, and then there were the resident vessels, additional GAC for 2 and 9 and 4 and 5 that you guys had moved down to coming out of capital reserve. So with all those taken out, I do not know the dump truck estimates as of now, but that brings us to 2.8 million for equipment and facility.
You have 2 warrant article transfers for fiscal year 23 and 24. That's in this fiscal year though?
That they were late.
All right, really? Okay.
That was the 200,000 was for the previous year.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Okay,
For system development. Potentially taking the artificial recharge and the Mitchell Wood engineering from system development count because it is truly for new source and only for new source. So that would bring us at the end to roughly 1 million. And then extraordinary legal, we're at 105,000. We don't plan on taking any for that. And then the water and purchase, which you've changed the wording of in the last meeting, to take out emergency. We are at 353,000, and we do plan on taking that new contract the first year out of.
There's a little typo in the header. Purchase. Water purchase,
Oh, yep,
sorry. I always just look at that from the outside in how it appears, so sorry to be difficult.
so I know that with the potential of you guys maybe taking the second year out of this, that's something we definitely need to refund for next year. And lastly is the bank balances, which you've always gotten. Any questions overall on these financials?
I didn't really have any myself, though.
No, I'm good.
Jump into this or wait?
So there's action items that Kristen spoke with the action item. So I'll say there's just put together a summary after that. I don't know if you have time to review that. But if anybody had any questions or comment on those.
Is that in the board packet or was that a separate?
It was.
It was. I'm not sure.
It's actually has attachment for agenda item 4. Action items.
Action items is number.
Mhm.
Behind the action items.
It's in the file, though. I don't see.
This one,
I looked at it.
Right behind action items.
You get to the plot, you've gone too far.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, I get it. All right, so we want to go over.
First one is for number 55.
To our paid time off policy, you had asked us to kind of review it and make any suggestions if we wanted to change it. And I just wanted to kind of go over our sick policy, because I think there was maybe a little confusion. In our current policy, we give up to 10 days of sick or 80 hours. You are able to roll over 160 of that each year, and we do our paid time off or PTO on a calendar year. So when you roll over 160, you get your new 80 hours. Anything over and above 260, which is what that adds up to, gets paid out.
240. And that's 10 sick days per year, right?
Yes.
And can they
The
be,
majority of our employees use up and don't hardly ever get to that 240. Or we'll live over 160.
and they used, but there's no doctor's note, right? Because that's not really, so this is this is a trust, what's it? After 3 days,
3 days,
right.
correct.
But for the occasional sick days, it's just and are they commonly taken before, after holidays or vacation days? Not so much, more in between.
We haven't seen that.
Okay. But I think the big question was the fact that these were paid out if they were accrued. I think that was what the board took offense to, right? If I recall right.
Yeah, I think so.
It wasn't so much the fact that they exist and that they're being accrued, it was the fact that they're being paid out upon termination.
Of the towns that we asked about, whether the percentage and so forth, the majority were paying them out and 100%.
I heard that too from another town employee the other day.
So when you say they're paid out, are they paid out on an annual basis or just
Yes.
okay,
Anything over the.
over the 240 hours? Yeah. And that's would be what, like January or something?
You do it in December.
Okay,
And then if anyone takes one or two that they may have been paid off, it's just deducted from their January start the next year.
all right.
In terms of rate discussion, Underwood, we have just opened up a purchase order for them to do calculations for the rate increase, which I think we just got in
Just got it
an
in
email
today.
this afternoon. As I had mentioned previously, I had used 22% increase to match our revenue to our expenses.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure if I'm ready to move on to the next thing. We
Okay.
haven't had a chance really to discuss what your percentage here.
Yeah,
So stepping back, I'll say this, that the vacation policy, if I read this, right, the first year is 5 days, right? 2 to 5 years is 10 days, 6 to 9 years is 15 days, 10 to 14 is 20. In light of that, I may change my position a little bit because I think the vacation policy is actually pretty frugal. You see a lot of, 10 days the first year of PTO, right? Which then doesn't distinguish between vacation and sick days.
Correct.
And I personally think actually that sick days make a lot of sense because people, what do people do with PTO? They drag their sorry selves to work and get everybody else sick, right? So I know there's a big discussion about PTO and sick days, but I personally think sick days make a little bit of sense. So in light of the fact that your first, 10 years are somewhat frugal with vacation days, which I didn't realize last time we had this discussion, changes my perception a little bit on the sick days. I'm still a little iffy on the whole paid out thing, but at least the number of sick days is becoming a little bit more realistic for me now. I would like to make that statement. I don't know. What do you think about that?
But Wolf, are you here? I thought we were, your point was on termination. So are we talking about any time out over the 240?
I guess maybe a little bit of both, but on the other hand, we don't want to encourage people to take sick days just for the fun of, using them, right? So in that regard, paying them out at the end of the year makes also sense, right? To a certain extent, because it takes away the motivation to.
I know some other believe Merrimack, town of Merrimack pays half payout. And I have heard from different ones that they will rather take the day than get paid half.
Right.
So
so what are they paying out at termination? Is it,
well, all right,
or what are we paying out at termination? I guess?
whatever they have accrued,
All of it, right?
if they, yes.
For just sick time or sick time, vacation days and personal
Well,
days?
Right,
what they have. Yeah, let me try that again. What they have left over from vacation time, if they haven't taken any time, they'll be paid out for vacation time, what they've just earned that year. We don't accrue
Right.
vacation time, that you lose it again.
Well, you accrue throughout the year, right?
Right.
Actually, you earn throughout the year. You don't accrue, but you accrue the unused part. You don't roll that over, not the vacation part, the sick days you are.
But we don't accrue it, it's all given at
I
the
was just
beginning
gonna
of the
say-
year.
Yeah, and
Just want to clarify that.
yeah, that's another issue I don't like.
Big change.
Yeah, I don't like that because then
Yeah.
you always get into a discussion if somebody leaves throughout the year and they took the PTO and then technically you have to get that deducted from their final paycheck, right? Which I'm not sure. Are we doing that?
We are not right now,
Right, so they're actually kind of getting paid for hours that they really didn't work and didn't accrue.
correct,
So that's a policy we should change.
correct.
So I would be pretty strong on that one.
Yeah, I agree
Yeah.
with
where year one, you're getting 5 vacation days. I think it's kind of difficult to have people accrue vacation days throughout the year if you make them use it or lose it by the end of the year. Do you know what I'm saying? Because if you have to, like, say your first year working here, you want to take your kids on vacation during the summer. You probably can't because you haven't accrued enough days yet. But then at the end of that year, you're going to lose the days. So I don't know that accrual, like, I don't want to pay someone for vacation days they haven't earned by working the whole year.
The difference though is,
Well, I know
the
that we-
difference, if you do accrue it, you can have a management discretion of allowing somebody to take it, but then the employee owes it to
you're like
you.
borrowing.
Yeah.
Right, then
Future.
they're borrowing, but, and then you can actually legally deduct it from my.
Yeah, I think, I get that better, because I mean, I just think if you're accruing, it's hard to do the use it or lose it by the end of the year. Because you're not gonna accrue your full boat till the end of the
Right.
year.
But that's where you,
Also recognize too that when we hire people, they get prorated vacation time, prorated, but they get
It's prorated.
if they start in the middle of the year, they get half.
And I know that we had discussed moving all of our PTO to a quarterly accrual. So instead of in January, you get everything, given, I know that it was given, they didn't have any turnover.
Mm.
Now we're kind of getting a little more turnover, hopefully not now, but
Good, we're good now.
I think that that was the philosophy that we
Yeah.
need to accrue, because everyone's here.
well, the bigger we are, the more turnover we're gonna see, right, to a certain extent, just because of the.
Maybe moved to
But
those amounts divided by 4 and you get it.
Would you be against it, have some sort of language that if somebody was to leave, then at that point, we would accrue the time and we could
For the time.
prorate at that point, it's tracked out of.
I don't think you can do that unless you accrue. If you basically say you warrant 10 days a year, then you warrant 10 days in January 1st, right?
If you.
Right,
front
if you-
load,
right.
that's what they get.
Right, so you really have no right to go back and deduct that from their last paycheck, while if you accrue, which I think is fair for the rest of the employees then too, right? Because otherwise somebody can plan to, quit January 31st,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
And nail those vacation days, right? So accrual is what I've seen pretty much standard. But you can have management discretion to allow somebody to borrow ahead of time, only then if they leave before the end of the year and they have overused their PTO, then they owe that money back. And that's a fairly clean way to do that usually.
Is that something?
That makes a lot of
you want to
sense.
start?
So you think going to quarterly accrual,
Cruel.
is that something you're looking at?
Is that easy? I thought it's weekly to do that by paycheck. The accrual, because if you do quarterly, now you have to do calculation every different, every once in a quarter, you have to run a different process, but.
I'm gonna actually look, because I believe our new payroll system has
Okay,
accrual system.
Okay.
So I wanna look into
Okay.
how it works.
Yeah, and I like the idea that management can approve vacation time, like if you want to take it with your kids during the summer, you don't have it yet. To approve it that way, because I think as having young kids, it's hard to with the use it or lose it policy in a calendar year.
Yeah, so if someone starts a job and they want to take a week that summer, they technically couldn't unless you let them borrow some, right?
I would just caution then on I don't know what process you have in place to request PTO, but it's a good idea to put a disclaimer on that request. That if you, use more PTO than accrued at that point at the time of the year, you could be subject to back charges. Okay, you don't want to put the word termination out there every time somebody puts in PTO request, right? But you know what I mean? It might be a good idea to make people aware of that.
Yeah, just so it's printed somewhere that, they can't say, you never told me that. I
Right,
wouldn't have
exactly.
done it if I didn't
Exactly.
know. If I would have known, yeah.
So if you want to maybe go back and look at the features of the system and tell us what you want to do.
Yeah, I think that's a good
I've
idea.
never looked into it, because we just front loaded, but now that we're talking more about this, that was definitely part why we chose it is that it did have a lot more automated features.
And I think I'd asked that before, the accrued sick time. Specifically the one that's being carried over, rolled over. That is, there's reserves for that on the balance sheet? Or are they,
Annually,
and that's fine, okay, but we do
Yes.
at least,
yes,
whatever backlog we have for the last umpteen years.
yes.
We have a reserve on the balance sheet for that, so we're not gonna get hit by that if everybody, if we close up MVD and we have to pay everybody out, we're not gonna be in running to the bank, okay?
Any
And
other
do we know what the
questions?
total is of that? Just
Sorry?
what's the total of that in dollars? I'd be
I have
curious,
to check.
that would be curious to know what kind of liability that is.
Yeah.
That's gotta be a boatload of money.
How many people actually get paid out?
4 of 18.
For sick
Yeah, but
days.
that doesn't say how many have something from prior years that they reserved, right?
That's true. That's true. Well, no, you still have to keep it on, if they were.
Right, from prior years, yeah, that could be quite a bit of a dollar amount, so.
So is it safe to say, as long as we carry the balance, that it's not any more or less advantageous of us to pay it out at the end of employment? Or to pay it out annually at the end of the year?
Doesn't, as long as we reserve it, doesn't make a difference. The question is it, are we okay with paying that out by default?
So I guess the only other thing is.
Sick
when-
days aren't really intended to be taken all the time. They're intended to be
Yeah.
a reserve for when they're needed, right? That's I think what struck us wrong in the
I guess
past.
the only other thing I'm thinking is, when that gets paid out at the end of the employment, that's at the person's current salary.
That's a good question.
Whereas it's accruing at a lower salary,
That's a
so
good,
it's really,
that is a good point. That is
costing
something
more.
that we should look into as well. If something has been banked for 10 years,
because you could be making twice as much
Yeah.
as you were in over the course of 10 years.
well, you can roll over. So,
You get paid out for the prior year.
yeah, because
So
the,
you're accruing on the new year.
so the rollover limit of 240 hours is absolute. It's not renewing every year, right?
Correct,
So once you have 240 in the bank,
that's it.
that's it. So that in that case, it
Right.
doesn't really matter as much.
But vacation days?
We
Those
don't
can
roll
accrue?
over. We don't roll
No.
over.
They are not rolled over unless you have a specific request, approval from Ron.
All right,
Supposed to use them.
Yeah, you just couldn't take it. Or that,
okay,
just workload or something like that.
all right. I feel better about that then.
Hmm.
Any other questions on big time off?
I'm good with that.
Yes, I guess the only thing we want to follow up on is that frequency of accrual that you want to look into.
Yes. What our system can do. And then our accrual of sick time.
Okay. Everybody good with that?
Mhm.
Move on to rate discussion.
Great discussion, we have Underwood working on, and as I had mentioned previously, that they did just get an email this afternoon. I had used 22% to back in our revenues based on our budget for fiscal year 24. And I believe that's what they are recommending as our increase for hopefully July 1st, if we can get
I,
there.
That seems awful.
didn't we cut that in half?
They,
Is this new? 'Cause I thought it was 23% or
prices were
21.
not factored into the original, where it would have been 11, 12,
Yeah,
and so
that's
forth,
what I thought.
because of not only our refinance loan due and the chemicals. That basically took the percentage and inflated it much higher.
So what was last year, like 12 or 11 or something?
It was 11.
11,
Yeah.
and then we were thinking we would only have a 12 going into next year. And you're saying that 12 actually has to be 22 based on the expenses.
Well,
She also said that if we do not fund some of the trusts, like we would like to 18%.
Well, yeah.
This was
if
a
we don't
very
wanna
brief reading.
Support the. Yeah, 200K contingency, for the fund balance, without contingency be 18%. What they recommend,
At how much percent?
18.
Wow.
I'm surprised by that. It seems a lot higher than what I had remembered.
I know.
That was great. I did that out of
And
body. I
correct.
haven't reviewed it or anything. like
I
that
didn't
yet.
open it either. We just got it.
So net income for the current year is what? 1.4 or
For right now,
654, which I just noticed that that's like way different. On the cover sheet here,
yes,
and why is it on the cover sheet 6.654 for the current year?
or that's net, that doesn't include our extra, our other income or our other expenses. That's just operating. Any questions on rate? Discussion?
So are we planning on doing a rate increase for the beginning of July fiscal year?
That was the hope, but I know
Yeah.
we're cutting close.
Yeah, so we're,
It's supposed to be going monthly billing at the same time, so all things are.
Well, we haven't seen the rate study from Underwood yet, so I don't think that we're remotely ready to decide on any of this.
so that'll be, it's part of the backup for.
Right.
For the rate discussion, so
Right.
starting probably next meeting, we can have discussion.
Hmm.
First discussion anyways, and then usually 2 units.
And I would probably suggest not to make two changes at once,
Yeah.
right? Wouldn't it be easier? I mean, that's all one of the reasons why we're moving to monthly billing anyway, so we can do rate changes easier without all the.
We have to do the.
Reserves.
Might be for the rate change anyways.
But we have to do a town-wide read every month going forward because we do monthly billing, so it really doesn't make a difference then as far as the rate change. I would actually probably recommend not to do the rate change then when we move to monthly billing.
Oh, I would agree.
That gives us a month or two to get our bearings with the new processes.
We did rate changes in like September or something last year, was
Yeah.
it?
It was October,
October?
that would give us plenty of time to notify everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which, I think of it, we lost probably 3 months there. I don't know if our last budget projected revenues based on 12 months of that upper rate or just 9 months, you know what I mean?
The Original rate
Must-
study,
it must-
I do not know.
Yeah. I was just wondering about the
I think
budget.
it was. I think it was 12 months, but I have to go back and look.
What did next year's budget? Was that assuming a 22% rate increase or what did we use for that?
That's what I assumed.
It was, okay, yeah. All right. And that was supposed to hit month 1 in July, right? Those revenues?
Correct.
So that's what I mean. If we push that off until September, October, we're gonna lose a few months there of that up higher revenue. Which is probably not a huge loss, but a little bit of less revenue collection there, right?
Less revenue will just be on the capital side that we. But less, hopefully would work out to be less than we put in capital, back in capital reserves.
Hmm. Well, yes, I think, I mean, what do we normally do? We usually see the rate study by Underwood and we may have questions on that.
Hmm.
So we're probably not in a position to do the rate increase at the end of,
Actually, we can get that out sooner than later. We can, why don't we get that out tomorrow?
I just put that up.
Still in draft format, but
Yeah, but I mean, Underwood should present it, right, and we should discuss it in public anyway, so, I mean, either way, July is not gonna happen.
probably not.
And I don't see, I mean, Underwood, this is not the first rodeo, right, so, I mean, Underwood should know that this might take a month or two to implement, so they should be able to deal with that. I'm sure they are.
So then as far as the monthly billing, is that in place to try to roll out on beginning of July or how's that looking right now?
Yeah, with that,
I know cards went out, but we didn't have a date. They
Right.
just said coming soon,
right.
Yeah.
I think it's,
so it's a matter
Are
of,
we waiting on anything to
it was
affect
just
that or
more of a decision on, I think we were waiting to see what the rate may be, if we could put them together. But if we're not going to, then I think it's just a matter of
yeah,
coming soon is now coming July.
I thought even it was working on something there.
she's been out last week. So. Get an update on that, from her and see what she said.
Yeah.
She wanted to do some test runs, make sure all of there was any bugs to work out.
I mean, I don't know if it's easier to do a monthly, to change to monthly billing without changing the rate or does it matter?
Well, if you have discrepancies, now you have two things to research.
Yeah.
Well, I was just gonna say the same.
So I
I would do the rollout first.
Maybe do the
and
monthly billing first and then
I
plan on a
would-
rate change, not in July, but March,
October again.
September. Or
The month after.
I don't know. I mean. It. So July is, I mean, you have, the 3 months rolling billing currently, right? Is there like a month in the year where you have no accruals? Where everybody's back to zero? No, right? Because there's always 2/3 that ever accrues, right? And unbilled amounts. So in reality, it might actually be cleaner and easier to say after every single customer has, all accruals and all reserves and unbilled revenues have been cleared up and, that might be then the month to start looking into the increase.
Well, since we read the whole town, it will be.
True. You clear that up right there.
When
That's
we have
true.
an accrual,
So,
Yeah, so that
We'll
ends
start
in
with the
June,
bill.
right?
right, right. So with the first monthly invoice, that's over. That's right. Okay. So the month after is clear then. My point, I didn't want to mix all of that up, on clearing up all those reserves and unbilled revenues and then throwing a rate change on top of it.
yes, I think that would be a lot.
Do we have public hearings on rate changes and everything?
We will, yes.
Yeah. Yes, I don't think there's any way we could have implemented this in
Well,
July.
it's a 2 meeting
Right.
thing anyways. It would be a public hearing. So we'd have, if it does work out to be in July, that'd be the discussion piece of it, and then we'd have August would be voted on it and then a date set at that point. So
All right, so if we discuss it at our next meeting, June, then we can have we have 2 public hearings.
I think
So then we could have the hearings in July, August.
Yeah.
And then,
Do they have to be a month apart? I didn't think so. The hearings. Thought they have to be only like a week or 2 apart.
it would line up to our meeting that
Right.
have a special meeting.
yeah, I figured we could just line it up with our normal monthly Board of Commissioners meeting instead of having to call a whole special meeting and try to get everybody together for 5 minutes for,
Yeah.
All right, so I guess it's probably targeting September for the rate increase. Yeah, I'd kind of like to see the study. We should probably have that on the agenda for June, right? And have somebody from Underwood kind of walk us through everything like they've done in the past. So that should probably come out in the packet, June packet, Board of Commissioners packet, and then have Underwood at the meeting for June. And then we can move forward on the hearings in July and August. Okay, that's all reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay,
Next item was capital reserve. Fund policy. As I had shown you earlier, that trust activity. Sheet I will start giving to you monthly. We are still waiting on GIS, the CIP model we're working through. What's the best way to present that CIP? And CIP being
Capital improvement.
thank you, capital improvements program that. Whether or not we'll have the report out of Elements, GIS, and so forth. So we're still working through that, along with what Underwood had taken all of our assets, vertical and horizontal, and put them in a spreadsheet. Now we're trying to get the software to talk to those spreadsheets to figure out what would be the best way to present that.
We also want to have that discussion. The reserve fund policy, capital reserve fund policy, fund balance policy. June as well. That kind of goes hand in hand with, what we're gonna, how we're gonna set rates to, how we want to fund these programs. We need to go with the rates as well, so probably will be that.
yeah,
At the same time.
okay.
Questions on capital reserve?
Is there ability for me to get a copy of the capital improvement plan so I can see what's on it and that kind of stuff and get familiar with it before the next meeting? That'd be awesome.
You know that too?
Thank you.
We're gonna do that, okay. And then fund balance policy, I am still working on writing the policy. And again, if we're gonna move this to June, we can discuss that, but my one and only question was, how much of a reserve are you looking for our fund balance? 4 months is about average for operating expenses. To keep in your fund balance reserve, it's about 33% of our operating budget. We can do 2, we can do more, it's something for you guys to think about and determine, so
Is that what we've been kind of historically doing, or?
we haven't done anything for fund balance reserve.
But we have a fund balance, but we have no policy.
No policy on, and the policy basically just defines how much of that unassigned fund at the end of the year you want to put towards your fund balance reserve. So that it becomes restricted, a lot like our trusts and our inventory. So that, and then the policy also says if it goes below or above, what do we do?
Would actually be nice to have that current fund balance on that cheat sheet here. That would be nice. Just to have that in our face monthly. Make sense?
Yes, I can do that. So I was gonna ask what you guys thought, what the percentage is I write the policy, but if we're gonna have a full discussion next month, then I'll ask it again.
Well, maybe for Underwood, it would be good to be prepared for that, to play with the numbers in front of us. Right? And again, we don't have to go to maybe 4 months in 1 year. Maybe it's,
We can creep up.
and I don't know where we're at right now either, right?
And that's the breakdown I need to do.
Right,
Right.
right. Maybe we are already at 4 months and we don't have to worry about it, right? Maybe we are at 1 month and we all sweating the next time when we talk about the rate, right? So ideally, if Underwood can play with that while we're here and having this discussion. And then we can talk about, okay, for this year, we're targeting that kind of run rate. For next year, we're targeting maybe a higher one because it's a little too low this year. But we're not trying to cram it all into 1 year and bring up the rate increase to 50%.
Yeah, I guess that's where I was a little hesitant on agreeing to a number of months where it could double what we need to collect versus what we thought we did, you know what I mean? It's, and it kind of know where we are to know where we want to be, I guess.
Yeah.
Because how much it impacts that, right?
Yeah, we need to play with the numbers when Underwood's here. So in other words, if somebody can maybe let Underwood know that we're kind of expecting them to be able to dynamically adjust that and,
Mention
or run
something.
scenarios. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that was our idea was to have a fund policy and roughly 4 months, 3 months,
Mhm.
something to keep that in mind as she was crunching the numbers.
Mhm. Cool.
The next is Windows Office 365. We will be updated on this Thursday. That does involve Block 5 coming in and setting a lot of our computers up. I think I sent you guys an email. You will have to get your tablets or phone or however you get our emails updated also. If you aren't able to make it into the office that day, they're gonna give me instructions so that I can help you there at the next meeting or whenever you stop by. Once we do get that, it will also get us set up with OneDrive where this, you will look at it on OneDrive instead of getting emails. And other things that I ask you guys to approve. Where your emails, you could barely open it because I've attached so many things. So I think along with other things that Office 365 offers, I think will help integrate us all a lot better.
And we can download that material and make comments on it and stuff like that.
Yes.
Okay,
Any questions with that?
you good?
Monthly billing, we briefly talked about. We're shooting for July. I have been working with TD Bank for the lockbox setup. That should be ready to go for July, whether we're ready or not to do monthly billing. They should be ready for lockbox to start getting checks sent to them directly so that we're not inundated here. And as I also mentioned that as we get more and more people onto the portal and paying, that lockbox will eventually go away to the fact that what does come here for checks or cash is an amount that we can reasonably handle.
They were not willing to work on the pricing.
They would not.
Have we shopped that with other banks?
We have not.
I mean, 27,000 bucks a month to run and process some checks is some pretty nice business model. So,
We'll love that. So,
It's that much?
that was our, if everybody was sending us a check, yes. If you look at there was an email that Amy just sent you, we are a year into our portal. And as of 4/26, we have 3,067 users that are using my MVD.
Which is about half of our customers.
Which is half of our customers. 922 are getting e-bills, so that's 922 less of mailed statements, and then 912 are using auto pay, which is 912 less checks or cash that we are processing. I worked that out of the e-bills, and that's saving us about $495 a month. With the e-bill is $720 a month. The auto pay, that's $495 a month, which comes out to 14,000.5 savings per year, which is subtracted from that worst case scenario of the 57,000 I had originally given you guys as the potential cost. So 1 year into it, we're already making significant savings.
that's good. I'd still like us to look into other banks and other services. Maybe there's other services that aren't banks, I actually found out the other day what kind of scanning services are out there. I mean, granted, this is a little bit different as financial transactions, but maybe there are service providers out there that specifically offer just that lockbox feature of scanning checks and sending us the funds electronically, right? And that is not a bank, because the bank, I mean, they hold us basic data color here because they know we're their customer. Maybe there's a company out there that does nothing else but that, and therefore is cheaper than that.
I can look into it.
Would be interesting.
And then The other item was offering a discount to people who do pay by the web. And Amy and I looked into that in our current water software, and it would become very manual to give people who are on the web payment a discount, along with two other factors. One, if you're a hydrant customer, we're gonna change it to monthly, your $9 hydrant fee now just went to $4. Cause you had such maybe $5 discount. And then I just lost my train of thought.
Well, the other thing, Amy said that, people can go in, they sign up.
That's
and
what I was
then
gonna
the next month they go back and they don't sign up, and she has no way to check that and see if they're signed up or not signed up.
You can sign in, change yourself to auto pay 1 month, turn it off, and then as far as we know, we'd be giving you that discount forever. Because there's no way for us to see that.
The hydrant only customers are like, it's like $27 per quarter, so you divide that up to 9 payments monthly, and then they get $5 off of going to paperless billing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a policy question, right? I mean, we could think about not applying that to hydrants, right? Just because the overall fees are low, but
It's still, it would be a very manual process. The system wasn't designed to give out discounts. So it'd be Amy keeping track of every customer.
kind of strange because everybody else is doing it. I just signed up for a different internet provider, and that's one of the biggest ways to save money with them, and they just reject other ways of payment once you sign up for that e-bill, for the automatic payment by credit card. I mean, the biggest savings are probably in looking for a competitive Lockbox, right? So maybe they start there first.
That was the last. Are there any other action items that you were expecting from finance? I did not touch on.
I guess I'd have to go through and check them. So covered what, number 55 action item? But we're still keeping that on there, right? Because we have some more information coming on that.
Next one is 74, great discussion.
All right,
72, 74, 75.
74 is a rate discussion, 75 is the capital reserve fund policy, and 72 is the discount.
Number 74, I had on here to question when Kristen was talking. You wanted to have a meeting with Underwood in June to discuss the rate increase. Do you want me to update number 74 to reflect that?
yeah, I would say so.
Okay.
Yeah. So 72 for paperless billing. It just seems like we, a discount for paperless billing. That doesn't seem like it's going to be possible, I guess, is what I'm hearing.
Unfortunately,
So I guess if we're willing to relinquish that, should we take that off the list? I mean, I don't, it sounds like it
would become a very manual process.
I don't know how else we can,
Unless we do modification, I guess, right? Software modification, maybe.
We would probably have to pay for it.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, we can postpone it and, put it on ice for now and see what you come back with as far as Lockbox cost reductions.
okay. So we'll keep 72. 74, you're gonna change to June, 75.
Might go to June too. we're
Yeah.
gonna discuss in June.
Yeah. All right. So I guess that covers all of your related stuff, right?
I think so. Any other questions overall?
I don't have anything. You guys did?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you, Kristen.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right, now we're getting into the regular session. So we're just getting updates on our various projects, starting with Wells 9.
Yeah, we've been online with well 9 since April 28th. Well, we've been bumped here and there, but it's been running right around, which the combination of the two have been running right around 15 gallons a minute. Then we'll kind of back off on our other wells and do a brunt of the water to the town from 2 and 9. All I have for that one, 7 and 8 media changeout. All paperwork and media samples have been sent to Evoqua. And we're waiting on the profile to come back. We have tentatively scheduled the media to be picked up 5:25, 5:30. And if profile takes a little bit longer, 6:05. So hopefully, I should note here, this week or so, if that's going to be on schedule.
So that's profile of the carbon samples.
Yeah, we took off the 50% port.
Yeah.
Of vessel 1, the lead vessel. And kind of took a core sample out of it and sent those samples off to check for metals and that kind of stuff. It all comes back good and they schedule the pickup. Kind of got them to schedule the pickup if saying,
Assuming that.
assuming that everything comes back fine, let's get this in the works. So
That's the 25th date you were talking about,
yeah,
May 25. Was it, what did you say, 20?
5:25. So yeah, May
Okay.
25th.
And
hopefully.
then, or June 5th, if that doesn't work out.
Right. And next week, we're planning on disinfecting that lag vessel, the caustic treatment on that lag vessel. And at that point, we're gonna shut down the lead vessel and just be ready for them whenever they come pick it up. And we'll start off on the lag.
All right, so you're still gonna keep the plant going on the lag vessel. Okay,
And it's pushing them, getting later, like we've talked before.
Yeah.
I said, well, we need to get this done now, and we're trying to get it as close as we could to, when they're picking up that lead, but. So we're within, hopefully gonna be within about a week of that.
okay.
That's it on, so we need immediate change out, artificial recharge. Peter and I walked 4 and 5, both wells 4 and 5, down along the river, across the tracks. We identified a couple locations for, pump and potential intake locations. He's actually plotted those out on a map and kind of made some changes on that here and there. And then Jamie's looking to get the air proposal to us late summer. So I mentioned to Jamie that we did that, and Peter and I walked that to get those locations. Jamie wants to take a look at that, and what we're trying to do is figure out how to get the water from the river to the plant as well. So I sent Jamie off some stuff on that. Jeff and I walked. Jeff Marks when we walked that a few years back, and it's right around 3,000 feet to a culvert in between, and I don't know what it's called now. I'm going to refer to it as Open Furniture and Parker Village. There's a culvert in that kind of location. It's about 3,000 feet away to get the water to the site. So It's 5,000 feet. Going, we went to, the only other spot would be underneath the trestle by Railroad Ave, where the Souhegan River dumps into the Merrimack, so that's the other location.
So you're trying to use those locations instead of doing directional drilling or something?
Well, that was my other thought that I kind of mentioned to Jamie, that maybe we do a directional drill and just leave it in the ground if we don't use the works out the AR doesn't work, or it's the infrastructure is there, but down the road, you know, choose to go to river at some point. But that's what he needs to work on price with, you know, have Peter kind of work with the price on directional drilling.
Yeah, because we commissioned them Underwood to do a it's like a cost study.
30% drawing, or yeah.
Right. So you're just trying to like pin down where we want to do the crossing or how we want to get the water up there so they can actually put a cost to that.
Yep.
I would think if you have to run extra distance to an existing crossing, the cost of running the extra distance is probably going to,
Mitigate the directional drilling.
yeah, because directional drilling is more
So
costly.
if you
but-
use, it's 3,000 feet of pipe if you use the culvert
Yes,
and 5,000 feet if you use the trestle.
we need to know.
What is the amount of pipe would it be if you were directional drilling? Would it be like significant savings? 'Cause I mean, if you tell me it's 2,500 feet to directional drill, then it's probably not gonna be worth it. But if it's 1,500 feet,
I gotta come. It's like I want to say it was like 1,700 feet if you went straight up.
Yeah,
Don't quote me on that, I don't, I have
Yeah.
measurements in my mind right now, so
Well, we also don't know what we're gonna be hitting, right, as far as bedrock and stuff.
it's probably, I'm guessing it's all sand.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
yeah, probably down at the edge of
Except for
the.
one place you want to drill and be a boulder.
Yeah, the other thing that saying in the past too is I kind of like to find out at what point do we want to actually make like an agreement with the landowner about this is what we want to do. You know, are they going to ask us for compensation to give us the rights to cross that property? Just, I want to firm that up because like I mentioned before, the further along we get into this, it becomes more valuable to us. And valuable
More
to
money.
us equates to additional cost on the part of the landowner.
Yeah, that was the discussion.
So I don't want to get too far along with this and have the landowner say, yeah, sure, it's $1 million, or, you know what I mean? It just.
Yep.
I don't want to get in that position. I'd rather kind of, if he comes back to us today and says it's $1 million, then we can look at going a different route, you know what I mean? But
Well, the other routes were just to get the pipe up. I mean, I think we still,
it's still the same land, right? Or not? That we'd have to cross?
that's a good, I want to say that it's right on the property line.
Yeah.
Somebody's got to own it. I don't know if it was.
Yeah.
That man.
I mean, we can't,
I thought we went through this like 2 years ago. And I'm almost thinking we did something back then.
there's absolutely no agreement with it.
Oh, no.
No, not an agreement, but I thought
I met with a potential buyer of the property.
Yeah.
Did kind of lay out that we did for easements and
Right,
different things that, you know, because of this project.
with the buyer, but not necessarily with the current owner. Which I mean, there's a little flexibility on our end if they want to build something. And they're putting a building where our line's going, that's probably not a good thing to do. So, you know, with this flexibility of moving around or something, so I don't really know how to, I don't know how to handle that, but. I don't know what leverage we have to like dictate what, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I,
It's a purchase plan.
that was kind of my thought. If that's something that.
We need some hunting grounds anyway, right? So
Exactly. But it does border our property, the length of our, it's a little bit longer than our property. River, along the river, but. My personal opinion is I think we need to purchase it. If not for now, even just for later on as. It's protection,
and that's what we discussed.
down the road.
When you say purchase it, you mean the whole property?
I would,
Or,
I would look at the whole thing, but.
I mean,
It's
that's,
like 22 acres. So I'm going off from where I believe it was 22, but
that's gonna be like. Purchasing that's gonna be considerably more than just an easement.
yes,
And what, that doesn't have any conservation value to us.
well.
It's
when-
downgrading from our wells, isn't
Yeah,
it?
but I don't, it is downgraded from our wells, but you would have somebody right behind. the Property either.
Salting and sanding.
Yeah, I don't know. We gotta look at that more, cause if that's all down gradient of us and it's not coming back to our wells, maybe it is. I don't know. Is it in our
I'm trying to think of the map.
wellhead protection area?
We do get some of our recharge from that direction. I want to. And I don't, I want to say it was like 1% of our recharge for that well comes from that area. Or,
Yeah. I don't know.
Just to look into it further anyway.
yeah, all some stuff together and.
That should be part of that work session, potentially, or a work session.
Well, I was gonna suggest maybe some non-public discussions to kind of.
Right. I don't wanna
Yeah,
get too detailed right now.
yeah, cause
but,
I'd love to see like
yeah.
a map and see what we're talking about.
It needs to be prepared.
Yeah. So that really should be done before we cost out an avenue to get there, because we may just be like wishing and hoping that's the avenue and it's not, you know what I mean? And then if we're talking about purchasing something versus granting us an easement, that's like millions of dollars difference here. You know? I had never intended on purchasing that land. And unless there's a reason why, which I don't.
He did mention that when we had that discussion, that idea, I think, I remember
I
that.
don't think even.
Right.
But
yeah, we did do it.
Yeah, no. It's something I think we want to have protected for future use, whether it be a surface water treatment plant. Something like that down the road, and if that land goes.
Yeah. Depending on the price, I wouldn't want to spend millions of dollars in today's money for a what if that we might never need.
Well, it's not building land today either. What is it zoned as today, do you know?
I
thought it was buildable, right?
I think it's residential. I almost want to say there was gonna be some condos down there or something. Okay, they were obviously proposed that they would go. The person I had talked to. It was like 300 units or something. Just on, it was a pretty good sized site.
Yeah. So that leads me to believe that it's got some value, so. It's a big difference.
I think it might
between-
actually be industrial and town center overlay.
Yeah. There's a big cost implication between purchasing the parcel versus granting of an easement, Put it this way, in the AR calculations that were done previously for our alternatives evaluation, there was $100,000 assigned to,
It definitely changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
So $100,000 versus millions is like, significant. So we probably gotta get that pinned down a little bit better. How to manage that. All right, okay. Any other questions on that? Or we can move on to, was there one more, Mitchell Woods, I guess?
Woods, and it was just, they're, Underwood's working on that as well, like, they were after. Him and I, Pete and I, and I don't remember the other person's name off the top of my head that went on a walk. They were heading over to Mitchell Woods to kind of get. The ground view of how everything's laid out down there and start getting that drawing together, so. I haven't seen anything on it yet, but that was their next stop was there, so.
So can they find out the one question about, can we use the existing 8-inch test well as the production well? We've been asking that question for
You
months.
said we could,
Yeah,
if I remember right, so I didn't think that was,
all right,
There was no point of doing 8-inch, right?
I guess.
When we decided that,
Oh, that was it, that was it.
No, that was,
before we were on the
that was in
board.
before, but I
Oh,
thought Jamie
oh.
said we could. You know what, it's not a large, it's only.
Yeah, 300 gallons a minute or something, right? Yeah.
Good,
I think a regular submersible pump, you don't even need like a vertical turbine or something. I don't know for that, you know.
I thought, my memory says that, I think Jamie said we could,
Yeah, okay.
but I can verify that with Jamie as well.
All right, so that, I guess that's why I'm asking, because if that's, hopefully that's what Underwood is using in their cost estimate that they're doing. Just find out, make sure if that's the case, they're doing that, they're not assuming the cost of a whole new, you know, 12-inch gravel well or something that we don't need for this flow.
I don't think they are, but I didn't ask that, so I assumed we were going with that well, so
Okay.
that's all I have for that.
All right. Anything else, or we can move on to the media change out policy, second reading? Is in our packets and all of the corrections or something got
can I,
addressed.
can I make a motion to approve the media change out policy? Dated May 11th. 2023. As proposed.
I'll second.
Yeah. All right, you didn't have anything else to
No, I tried to, I was looking all over the place. I get a little bit confused on it because we talked about it in one meeting and then all. But I thought, I believe everything had changed.
yeah, I see
I mean,
guideline is used here everywhere instead of policy.
right, and the last one was just a couple typos. There was no more changes, no more edits from the last
Right,
meeting.
but I think actually, I think I missed the guideline piece. I just put that in the last.
Yeah.
Last time and.
Yeah, it says guidelines.
I don't have any comments on it, so that's good. So, all right, no one else has comments. Motion by Wolf, second by Aaron. All those in favor of approving the guideline signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, so that's 300. And I just, the only thing I wanted to comment is that this does say, I wanted to emphasize that the 8-month goal is for the actual replacement and not just for the beginning of the coordination of the replacement. It does say that in here, to establish for the reactivation or replacement of granular carbon. And not necessarily like beginning the process of that. So it'd be good, because when we get to some of the graphs for wells 4 and 5, we already have breakthrough of PFBA through the lead vessel at wells 4 and 5, and that started in, I forget when it was. I think Lynette's email said it was in December.
January, I
So
think.
that means we should be replacing what the lead vessel at wells 4 and 5 in August.
Be kind of curious.
I don't know if you were aware of it.
I'd be kind of curious of. After this summer, once we get back and now that we're not. 209 is online, we're gonna be operating all of our wells a little bit different than we have been for the last couple of years. But
Yeah,
4 and 5 has been really getting worked. 7 and 8 have been really getting worked. Now we'll be able to ramp everything down and kind of keep.
Yeah.
Increase the demand as demand increase the flows coming out of the plant, so they're not gonna get. That real heavy use year round.
Right, but that doesn't really have anything to do with what I'm saying right now, because,
It does, I mean, it doesn't, but it will, I think it might change. Could possibly change when we're gonna do the change outs as well, or.
It's not be pumping it as hard.
Right,
so it might prolong going forward.
exactly.
Yeah. But I think in Lynette's email about the breakthrough graphs, it's forward ahead in the package here, but I believe she said that in December, there's a certain December 9th or something, the media was changed out and or that was when breakthrough.
No, vessel 2 was moved to lead position 12-9. For wells 4 and 5.
Right.
And then for wells 7 and 8,
So 8 months from 12/9
right,
is August 9th.
right. And she says for well 7 and 8, the lead vessel effluent had PFBA present this month. The first breakthrough was August 2023, she says, but she means 2022.
Right, so we're definitely behind on
Right.
wells 7 and 8, but
We
we're
are.
not behind on wells 4 and 5.
Right.
But we already have breakthrough through the lead vessel in wells 4 and 5.
Right.
So the 8-month change out would be on August 9th. And I don't know, I think it's from what we spoke last time, it's pretty minimal downtime. It's only when you evacuate the media out of the lead vessel, but then you can put the well water through the lag vessel, which is the new lead vessel.
Right.
And so we were concerned about doing this in the middle of summer and having like weeks or months of downtime, but that's not necessarily the case, right?
It wouldn't be, no, it might be, and I was kind of thinking about this as well. Maybe doing, when we have to flush, so we'll do a bacteria sample on the vessel once we get the new media into it. We have to condition that media as well. Conditioning happens first, then the bacteria sample.
Yeah.
Before it goes online. That might be able to be done off peak as well, if it would happen to be in the summer, so
Okay,
there might be some things we could do to.
and we shouldn't,
Running, you shut down for a little bit, do some backwash and conditioning, put it back on and.
Yeah.
And work it that way.
and this being the regenerated carbon, we shouldn't have like the iron issues that takes 2 months to flush.
Right.
Before we can put it back in service like we did on some of our fresh media.
I hope not.
So I guess what I'm saying is there, because even this is, if this is gonna be planned for August 9th or sooner, around that time, there should be not a significant concern about doing it in the middle of the summer. If we can minimize the downtime and not expect to have that extra, when the carbon's brought back, to have, a month or two of flushing, I guess.
I mean, we said before that we should be surprised if on either of the, hang on, we have breakthrough of PFBA on both lead vessels, right? So more than likely the lag vessel is gonna show breakthrough of PFBA sooner anyway than those 8 months. Right, because it's already coming into the lead position pre-saturated with
why-
PFBA.
The quicker we change it,
Right.
the better we can protect the lag vessel going
Right.
in the future.
Right.
So what I'm saying now is, I know we talked about changing the lead media at well 7 and 8 in January. And it took like 5 months to get that effected. If we're planning to change if the media should be changed out based on this policy at well 4 and 5 in August, and it's May now, do we need to be looking and setting that up now? I don't know if they're gonna need this profile and everything else. I know the first time you do it is more work, right?
let me find out on that because
So I'm just pointing it out because it's gonna come July and then it's gonna be like, oh yeah, we're not gonna make August. Oh, we're September, October, November.
I'm being told, what I mean, that once you do the profile, you don't need to do it again. It's
Right.
good for like 5 years. In the paperwork, it says,
You need a profile.
yeah, if it's over a year, you need a profile. So. I will find out.
Yeah. All right. So that's my point about the 8 months is not for like starting to consider coordinating the change out. The consideration of coordinating the change out needs to happen well before that to make the change out actually happen in 8 months. You know?
I
So-
have some questions to ask. I'm curious if it does need a profile, how early can I pull a profile? Before a change out, because I can do that. Now, if they say 4 or 5 need a profile
Yeah.
now. Get that all set up and then. Let's plan it for,
I would call a vocal and say, we want to change the lead media out at August 9th. Well, it's 4 and 5. What do you need? When do you need it?
Yeah.
And that way we can know, August won't run into, I mean, we're doing this procedure. It'd be good to follow it as best we can. And
Sure.
we already know, we're already breaking through. So there's no reason to wait for sampling. We know we're already broken through. So that's the thing is, and we'll know the process once we get through it a few times, right? So I think it just behooves us to start it earlier. And that way, if there's any delays on a Voqua's part, we can't control that. We can only control our own, right? So, yeah, so I think maybe if you want to look into starting to get that, and the guy's probably gonna say, wow, you're really early on this one, but good. I think we'll be in better shape to make sure that we get that, you know.
it's a nightmare on the paper, well, it's a nightmare, but it's like.
There's a lot of-
And like, it should be just like 4 or 5, I just did all of that.
I know.
Send it out and it's, you wait a week, then it said, oh, at least you didn't sign on this page or. Sign on the page before, okay,
Yeah.
so I sign that page, send it back, then it's.
The beauty of,
The drawings of the process drawing.
Wow, really?
Okay, I'll get them for you.
Wow.
There's a couple back and forths there.
Okay,
Easy.
all right. All right, so we approve that. Moving on to item number 3, which is the minutes from the April 17 regular Board of Commissioners meeting. In the 2 non-public sessions.
I'll move to approve the April 17, 2023 minutes. As presented.
I will second.
For the public session or for all three.
We can
All 3.
could do all 3 if we want.
Yep.
I don't have any comments on anything.
Yep.
So if you're good with that too for all 3 of
I'm
them.
over.
All right, so motion by Wolf, second by Aaron on approving all of these minutes from April 17, 2023, which includes the regular session and the 2 non-public sessions. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, that's quick, 3-0-0. No oppositions, no abstentions. Reviewing the action items from previous meetings, those to be added. So, all right, number 2, nothing to be done there. Let's see, number 23. Results which additional PFAS sample points were added throughout the distribution systems and results that's says on here, report to be in May. Where it
We
was,
just got those in, so they have.
what is this now? This is the distribution system results?
Yeah,
This is where we added additional testing points in the distribution system. Because of the mix and match from the different sources now with Pennychuck
Right.
and everything.
There was one that was done just a few months ago. Well, I guess this is quarterly, right?
it's quarterly.
Yeah, we're trying to keep it on that quarterly schedule, but the results are taking after
And there was one that was high and we figured out it was either a bad sample or
Yeah.
possibly well.
Yeah,
The November one, right? November last year was really high,
Yeah.
but not after.
All right, well, we don't have them. Is that something, you got the samples, you just need to compile them and maybe get them to us in June then?
Yeah.
All right, so Amanda, can you change 23 from May to June?
Yep.
When were those sampled? In April?
So, the end of April,
Yeah, we did, right after the last board meeting.
Okay,
20th.
all right. Number 40, open house at treatment plant. That was tabled once plants are completed. What do we want to do? Just push that off?
I mean, the question is, do we need to keep pushing it off, or are we just calling it a day and not doing it right? I mean, the idea was that we wanted to show people where the money is going, right? And,
Yeah,
you know, create some transparency in the community and partially because we got some really good feedback on the one time we did kind of an open house, right?
well, we did one for Wells
So,
4 and 5
we
when that
did.
went online.
We
I
did.
don't think we did anything for 7 and 8.
I personally think the community would like that. You know, I mean, first of all, who doesn't like a barbecue?
Yeah.
Second of all, I mean, when the DPW did their garage opening, people showed up, right? So I don't think it's a bad idea, but I know it's an effort, so the time would kind of be now to get started with this now that everything is online.
Yeah,
Want to shoot for something August?
What do you think, Aaron?
I mean, I enjoy visiting them all, so I can't imagine why other people wouldn't, but
I mean, people are interested in it, right? mean,
I think
obviously-
it's kind of, I think it'd be kind of fun to open, the newest one up and
I'd like to. I mean.
invite people down.
so where would we go to? Wells 2-9?
Yeah, so we could have pictures of the other.
Yeah.
But I think Underwood may still have the big pictures. and
Presentation boards and whatnot.
boards and set those up.
So what would we do as far as just inviting, I know last time, I think we invited like our local reps and the town council. But did we open it up to the public?
I thought the idea was to have an open house and
That's
not,
what I'd
not
like.
invite anybody specifically at
Yeah.
all. Basically, here it is, come and we'll share what we did here and what
Would
it
we
is,
need
right?
to get some kind of head count to know, are we doing the whole food thing and everything, or
We could get some food trucks out too, instead of doing it ourselves.
probably have to know
It's also an option.
what the.
Yeah, I was
expense is gonna
saying, we
be.
get a head count, we're gonna be buying a bunch of.
No, food trucks are better at that kind of, I mean, they know how to scale up and down based on where they're going. I don't think we can ask for people to sign up for it, really.
Yeah, I don't see how we would do that. That might be a little challenging.
It's not gonna be thousands of people. It's not even
No.
gonna be hundreds, to be honest.
No,
You're probably looking at,
probably 20 or,
well, you're probably looking at 100, I think.
oh yeah,
You don't think so?
I don't know.
Look at the neighborhood right there that.
Yeah,
up and down.
you're gonna get 50 to 100 people
And
easily.
then we gotta find out how to notice this, notarize, notice people.
We've done there.
It's a meeting. It's a meeting. Like we
Put
said last
something
week.
in bills, people's bills or something.
Sure.
Probably do an insert.
So something that probably gonna take a little planning. I don't want to burden the staff, but at the same time, it would be good to have. Probably get some.
And again, I would get some food trucks out
No, that's
instead
a
of
good
doing it
idea. That's a
ourselves.
good idea, actually.
Probably
we don't have-
easier than, yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Somebody does a snow cone. truck.
Get a little media press out there too, to get local paper and. WMUR wants to do something, but,
and I would probably send out an open invite to all public figures, as far as like the governor and, DES and state reps, senators, town councilors.
Yeah. Yeah, so
We're
this is
missing-
something we're controlling.
Right. Yeah, and you're all invited to come as you are.
Right.
You know, if you do want to hold a speech there, you're welcome to, but then we have to organize it and approve it, right? Go through the board, that would be the message. You know, if the governor or somebody wants to hold a speech, I don't think that's a problem, but I think we would like to know that beforehand.
Mhm.
Right, so we can get prepared for it and we know we can do proper introduction and so on. Get it organized, get it professional. So.
Start working on it.
All right, so shoot for August, you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, and even if just more being that, you know, now we have completed all the filtration.
Right, that was the,
Not just concentrating on the last two wells, but
right.
you know, this is the last system going online for
Yeah.
the town.
I mean, it would even be great to have some of these graphs out there, right? For people that are really interested in those. They're big enough that we can put them on a portion board the way they are. So,
Okay,
and I don't think we have to have necessarily a big ceremony or speech. This is simply an open house, you know?
yeah.
Yeah,
people walk through,
I
we'll
have
show 'em-
snow cone.
Put some,
We'll show them the facilities.
Yeah. We have some people like Brian, maybe Underwood, and you know, you guys and us commissioners standing around and. You know, maybe we can, actually, that would be a great idea to maybe get some T-shirts that say MVD or something like that. You know? Right? So the folks that can answer questions are just next to these, you know, they're hanging around and if anybody has questions, they know who to go to and ask these questions, but we don't have to have an agenda. We don't have to make it official and complicated, right?
Right.
It's an open house.
It's just an open house to have some, you know,
Right.
we'll have different staff around. If there's
Yeah.
a question, you know, hey, let's just do it.
Some food, drink, ice cream, and that's the end of it.
Well, no.
Your name tags. And all
Yeah.
our staff will have MVD.
Right. What was I gonna say? I forget. Just lost my train of thought. Oh, should we try to pin the date down? I know we have two other commissioners, but I'm not sure if, I definitely wouldn't see all five commissioners being there. I'll be surprised if more than one or two are there, so. I don't want to wait till June to see what's available for people, but.
And doing doodle again, right?
And then for the staff too, you know, is there a particular time where,
Yeah, let me throw that out there a little bit,
Yeah.
some different ones and. Working in around vacations, I know. Different ones have
Yeah, and maybe some,
possibly on vacation, I don't know.
we need to look at the town calendar too, right? If there's any events going on in the town.
And I'm assuming it's going to be on a Saturday. Saturday afternoon or something.
Probably should be,
yeah,
probably should be.
Or even do a Sunday. maybe. Yeah,
Yeah, Sundays are usually church days, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Saturday is probably better.
I know the first two Saturdays for me are no good. I got my son's wedding on the second Saturday, so that's got some priority.
Is it August?
August,
I was thinking more towards the end of the month, but.
yeah, the last two Saturdays are open right now. And that would be something like when, like around, noontime or?
Yeah.
Like what, couple hours?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
The 19th is not the greatest for me, but I could do it. So 26 would be preferred.
Okay.
You said the last two, you meant the 19th and 26th, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
Amanda, did you want to ask something?
No, I'm sorry, I was plugging in my computer.
I saw you on mute, so.
It might be a good idea though to create an action item on this one, so we talk about it the next couple of meetings.
Yeah.
you-
So.
Sorry.
We got an action item, so maybe we just gotta put more information in it. Number 40,
Yep. Do you want me to just update it that you'll be looking for a date in August?
yeah, instead of saying table and discuss once plants are completed, maybe we can say, you know, targeting August 26th. Do we want to even put a date there then? Does that work for everybody right now? Do you know if you have vacations coming up or?
We have to see if Brian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can,
I could mark it as a potential date.
Yeah, why don't we say? At worst case 19th, I guess, if you have to, but we can do the 26th. If everybody else is. Maybe it's out far enough where we can actually plan to hold that time, you know? All right. All right, let's change, let's do that. I guess we can move on then if everybody's good with that one.
Mhm.
All right, number 43, salt committee meetings. Did you get with Jamie at all on that and talk about if we want to do something over the summer at all? I know it might be challenging in the summer.
Still working, trying to get hold of DOT.
yeah, I mean, I have not, but I will talk to Jamie. I think we should have something over the summer
Yeah,
personally, just to get it, just kind of a. How did everybody make out over the winter type of thing and kind of.
yeah.
Ready for winter.
Why don't you find out from Jamie what's available and maybe a doodle poll to our committee members? We have their, is that what we did last time? Did we send a doodle poll out to them? Whoever the email list is on the committee? All right. 46,
That was
public
closed.
event policy. What's that, Amanda?
That one should have been closed in April.
Well, not quite, because we had said in the last meeting that we want to have like a checklist or something like that, right? Or like a request form, basically, that outlines what we need from the requester.
So we're gonna change that action item to making a form to fill out.
Unless we change, didn't we add one actually in? Yes, 77. So this one could be closed out. You're right, Amanda. I'm sorry. 77 is the replacement.
Okay. That was,
46.
all right, so 46, we'll close that one and it's
Yeah.
kind of taken over by 77, all
Mhm.
right? Okay, so 47 and 49, we've got that scheduled for June, right?
Yep.
We picked a date, I think, didn't we? It was, that
Yeah, I
just
think
came
it's
out,
12.
right? 55, sick pay time off.
We want to add the actual date to that. That it's June.
Number
12th.
49, yeah, if you want to update that, Amanda, to say June 12,
Okay.
Both 47 and 49.
right? So we're only waiting for Kristen to come back to us with whether it's quarterly accrual of vacation. Does that include vacation, number 55, or is that just?
Well, it says sick pay PTO, right? So in that regard, it's
Yeah, PTO includes everything, yeah. So I guess we'll leave that one, number 55.
maybe change it to
and say
June.
discuss in June. All right,
Alright.
number 57.
I'm still working with Amy on that.
Okay,
I did talk to her a little bit about it. Again, it might be hard to track there's nothing that does it like a red flag. I mean, you'll get the high usage, but then you. Go into it. This was no place to put the allocation in there, but. I may have to.
I thought we had said there is a way to do that.
I thought Jill mentioned there's like a field or
Flag. Percentage of amount, like if there were, it compares last month to this month and it'll say, high read or something that flags it for Amy. She goes in and looks at it. She'll try and figure out, you know, if it's irrigation or, you know, if they.
Yeah.
Figure that out, or she'll call them or send them a letter, depends on who it is.
So do we know what it compares? Does it just compare from the last reading to this reading? Is that what it is?
Right, that's what I was getting at, just the last reading, so we'd have to be able to put in, I don't think there's a field to put in the.
If it's over.
If it's over this number, then
Yeah.
yeah, flag that, yeah.
Yeah, I'm still working with, I.
Yeah, can you, yeah, that's probably the thing we want to confirm is that
Yeah.
if there's a way to do that. And if there's not, then I don't know that we can change the software to make it do that or not, but
I mean, we might,
there may be other stuff we might want to change as well. So maybe we just keep track of these things if there's software changes and have them all done all
change
together.
our price on it.
Do we have a master list of the allocations that have been given to developments?
I'd have to go back through, we don't have a master list, maybe that might be something. Generated.
Well, if she has to go in to look at a red flag and we had a master list, then she could just reference, you know, the master list and say,
Well, the way I understood it is when the permission to, when the permit is being given, that a record is being created that reflects that permit. And the permitted amount is added there. Now, that property may get sold later, way later, and actually connected way later than the permit is being given. Right, but at that time, I think you're creating the customer, which is different from the record that represents the permitted property. It's my understanding. The customer and the property are two different records.
So we wouldn't have requested. They could ask us for a water availability when they're getting ready to build. So property owner wouldn't randomly give us a number if they're not planning on building something specific.
Well, I guess the question is, where does the allocation get?
They're two different, I can tell you, we don't put them, those files aren't together.
Right.
so does,
I was on understanding from your comment in the last meeting or something, that in the software, when the permit is being given, a record is being created in the software. Let's say, for example, and I don't know the breakdown of the records in the software, right? I'm assuming we have properties and accounts because a property could have different customers over the years, right? Right. So let's say for Conservation Drive is now owned by me, but it actually has been owned by somebody else prior to me, right? And those are probably one Conservation Drive, I would assume, and one, whatever, Joe Blow, whatever, who owned it before me, and now it's me, right?
Right.
So, and my expectation would be that these records can somehow reference what the property had been permitted for when the first permit was issued. Right, and maybe eventually that permit gets updated, I don't know, right, because something happens, but
You don't issue permits.
Right.
well, allocations,
Okay, that's, I
Right.
just want to be sure we're on. the
okay,
same page.
but they're part of the permit that's being granted by the town, right, the allocations.
What's the requirement?
Well,
What's
it
the
would be,
requirement now?
it is recorded with the town, but it would be a
Conditional,
conditional approval.
condition on the plan, we would do a,
water availability letter.
yeah, but we also do we'll do an ESR typical, but for the Flatley project, did an ESR with Underwood. Reviewed the whole project, they have their allocation, that went off to the planning board with an available. I think I used that one as the water availability letter as well, but. So it's recorded there, but it's not really recorded. I have them all.
It's just not all compiled.
It's just not with Amy that to look at.
Oh, they should be in the building, they should be in the building software,
No.
But they should be.
Not, they should be, but
Yeah.
what I'm saying is, so the allocation stays with the lot, am I correct?
That's what I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it doesn't matter who the owner is. And when you do the billing software, that probably is more the account number that's set up by the owner.
But
Yes, which
So
can
then
change.
The account
So-
number, the location number stays the same, but then there's an account number by the,
That changes.
Right.
yeah.
As its property gets sold.
right, so
So
in worst case, it
Probably is two separate entities.
doesn't have to be, they only have to be matched once initially. So all you need, I mean, I do this for work all the time, right, so all you need is a field that you can either hijack or add, right? What's that?
I like the hijacking fields.
Yeah, that's a usually
Yes.
bad idea actually though, but because sometimes you need that field later for something else, right? But maybe there's a field you're not using right now that can be relabeled, for example, which is a 1 hour change in the software costs you $250 and we're done, right? If not, then the field can be added, which shouldn't be much more than that. It should be maybe a 4 hour job max. That's $1,000 one time and that's it. So, but then you have that field, of course, then you need to migrate the data once from your
Right.
whatever else you have out there, right? But then you have it in the system, and then you would think, and it may need to be at that point manually once you have an overrun, because that consumption was flagged, right? Then we have to go manually back and look at that field instead of having to go to your filing cabinet or to your laptop or whatnot, right?
Right.
But the idea is anyway to consolidate as much data as you have amassed over the years in that billing software. So you get the benefit of all those features and let the software do its job anyway, right? So that would be the way to approach a bill usually.
Yes.
So it sounds like we'd have to change our software.
Maybe.
I think it's probably just more of a project of getting all the allocations together in the same place to be able to input them.
Wow.
Well, the question is, can you find a place in the software for those allocations? And then bringing them from wherever you have them stored right now into the system is a one-time job of 6,000 entries. No, it's, well, how many customers do you say? We have 6,000
Well, I don't
customers?
think every.
Oh, we don't have,
Right.
I
Right.
don't know if I would have all of those, but it would be,
Probably don't have residential allocations or anything like
we
that.
wouldn't have residential. Other than. That's the other issue.
Apartments.
We would have apartments, the
But
multifamily.
some of those apartments probably have more than one water bill, do they?
It would go by location ID, and if it's an apartment building and it's 1 meter for that building.
Some do have multiple.
Some have multiple meters.
Lately, that's been 1 meter. Slate has one. They have 2 meters, one for the clubhouse, separate from
Building,
apartment buildings themselves.
because that's gonna get tricky, because now you're one allocation, multiple meters.
I was thinking kind of throwing another hole. So you have the Blood Road subdivision. That was looked at as a whole.
Sure.
Yeah,
That's your
You
allocation.
have 77 homes that you need to.
yeah, I don't think this is even.
I wouldn't worry about that type of, like, the residential subdivision fish.
But they are the issue
They are the issue.
because.
But I mean-
irrigation.
Apartments really
They're more-
are.
But then you have to take it and like break it up
You do.
into your 77 lots,
Can't
and
do
then
that,
are you giving them allocation based on square footage of lots? Or counting everybody's lot as equal? Because if you have larger lots with like, they're not always equal.
The types of softwares that where I'm coming from, this stuff would be built in, that's
Could you
the,
just bill us anyway?
no, that's the part that frustrates, I guess, me a little, because the data is out there, the information is out there, right? So the whole point was that we have control when we permit somebody, and I know it's not a permit, but we do approve allocation, right?
Right.
So call it permit or not, but when we allocate consumption to a property owner,
So follow up.
from there on, they can do whatever they want as far as water consumption, and we have no clue. And they didn't really pay their fair share on the system development charge. That's really what it's all about, right? So they nail it in as low as possible, and then they can go to town with irrigation.
Still look into it a little bit. I need kind of get with Amy some more on it and see what we can and can't do and.
Yeah, sounds a little complicated. But I don't know. You want to talk to her and see if there's a way to do that.
There could be I'm just,
Maybe if it helps, I can stop by for an hour and we talk about it together too, and see what the system can and cannot do.
yeah. I know she was obviously dealing with some other stuff as well and.
Sure.
Yeah, with the billing, monthly billing.
Yeah, so
No.
Yeah, maybe it's something that should wait till after we
Mhm.
get through monthly billing and rate change stuff and then come back to it.
All right, so number 57, says May, but kick that down the road a little further.
Yeah, it's August. So we can get the monthly billing done.
All right. So number 57, Amanda, changed May to August.
Yep.
All right, quarterly graphs, we got those in our packet, number 58, right?
Can we remove the comment?
So
Yeah,
Just, it doesn't need to be there anymore, because we got to go with them. Follow up with Jamie quarterly graphs we're due in November.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, we can get rid of that and then change May to the next quarter, which is what, June, July, August? So you got that, Amanda, changing number 58 to August?
Yep, and then removing the comment.
Yeah. 59, what's that? Proactive measures is track and correlate customer water quality complaints, discoloration, sediment.
Well, that's gonna be.
That's the work session.
Work session.
Oh, yeah, okay. So that's June 12th as well.
Okay.
Okay, number 60. Well, I don't know if we even bother keeping this one on the list anymore or what, but
well, the question is, can we find another supplier? Then,
of yeah, Zeolite.
right, there should be other suppliers out there, right?
Let me look into that as well. I didn't. Yeah.
That's where I would start.
Yeah.
So maybe change that to take the name out of here and just, or maybe even close it out, right? And create a new one and about
Yeah,
60.
guess we could.
All right.
So we'll close out 60 and create the next one. And what do you want it to just investigate Zeolite
Yep,
suppliers
yep.
for potential PFAS removal
Mhm,
testing or something?
Yep, yep.
All right. Did you get that one, Amanda?
Yes.
All right, so number 60 is gone. 67, you said you hadn't heard back from,
So I did follow up with, so I originally sent a email out to Richard Radowski, and he put me in touch with John Corcoran, Bureau of Turnpikes. I did follow up with him. He hadn't emailed me back, but I actually just sent him an email saying, hey, someone would like to interested in moving signs and start discussions with Salt.
okay. Yeah,
So I'm waiting on something from him. Before we get over, reach back out.
right. Because I think our wellhead protection area line is further up. It's on the other side of the outlet mall entrance, right? It's further up
It is.
towards exit.
I gotta look at it. I almost want to say it. Well, at that point, it goes on an angle, so it comes up. You get up the top of the hill and then it kind of rolls off to the corner of the building.
Yeah. It just seems like if it's a stormwater thing, it should be way up where the crown of the road is.
We did, I'm sorry. It does kind of go down below the ground, but I had to push the sign up past the ground.
Yeah.
Where
Or that's what you asked for?
I did ask for that and they did. As far as the mall, they did do that because all the drainage up on top of the hill actually goes to the
Right.
other outside of the protection area. So I felt at that point, it's going in the direction. Good, so
Right, whereas I think everything on our side is coming in.
it was right, almost right in the middle of the hill.
Yeah.
We did the same thing out here, the state, so we'd almost want to put it
On the other side of
on the other side of
the
the bridge.
There's a high point in the road, though. It's the off ramp going south. It's kind of like right around there. It's before you get to the bridge. There's kind of a crown there. All right. Number 68, funding for artificial recharge in Mitchell Woods.
We're working on that.
There was a grant, Keith and I. With, we met with, DES about a grant. I'm sorry, it wasn't DES, it was the county. That was that county grant,
Oh, yeah. Okay,
Mitchell Woods and AR were part of the grant. And then we also did mainline extension.
so I know we filed for the mainline extensions, but we didn't,
So that was the first project that we got the approval for the 1.5 million. This is the last section. It's different funding source.
oh yeah, this is the county thing we're talking about. Yeah.
We're just waiting for feedback on that.
So what did we apply for that, the county funding? Was it was it the mainline extensions? We didn't apply for any grants yet for artificial recharge in Mitchell Woods, did we?
Mitchell Woods was, I know Mitchell Woods was in there. Now you got me thinking if AR was in there as well.
Oh, all right.
And then we also did the mainline extension grant for Breakstone on that same.
Okay. All right, so we'll leave that one there. And then number 69, a more granular breakdown of actual costs and savings of switching to monthly billing.
That was in the package.
Yeah, so we can
Closed it out.
close out number 69.
Okay,
Would be maybe nice to get like an update on that every so often. As far as those 54,000, you know, how they're being recovered step by step because of people signing up for e-bill and so on.
I'll speak, I don't see why it can't be a monthly.
Yeah. Just a real quick,
The additional information.
Yeah, monthly, quarterly, I mean, maybe quarterly is fine too, that's not a thing, but yeah, would be nice to get an update on that. To see if the numbers that we assumed are correct and how much we recovered.
okay, so 69 is good to put to bed. 71, I believe as well, because we just approved that, right?
do you want, for 69, did you want to add a quarterly update?
Honestly, I'd like to see if Michelle, monthly.
Why don't you guys take it back, you know, and add it to the cover sheet, and then we don't have to have an action item, that saves us time in the meeting too, right?
Yeah.
At a cover sheet.
Kristen's
the-
cover sheet.
The cheat sheet on the financial report,
That's what I'm thinking, or the financial side.
Oh,
this one. And maybe also note, just for as a reminder, to put the fund reserve on here also monthly.
Yeah.
You know, how many months of funds do we have in reserve, both dollar amounts and, you know, assuming our run rates, how long does it last us? Would it last us? Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we wanted to know. All right, so yeah, 69 and 71, we can close those out.
Okay,
At probably 72, we can close out too, or
I would put that on ice for maybe 6 months.
72, you asked me to switch it to June earlier when we were talking with Kristen.
72 we did.
Yep, 72, 74, and 75.
I think that was just to make it, that it pops up in June as well, but where if she's adding it to the front page of that sheet, then you're gonna have it every month anyways.
All right, so what are we doing with 72?
I had it marked out as on hold, but
I read the wrong one.
Yeah, I would say put that on hold. Because instead, she's gonna look for alternatives to cut cost on the, what is it called, interlock or safe lock, lockbox, right?
Locks, but lockbox.
Lockbox. So I would put this on hold for 6 months. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, all right, change it to November. All right, 74 rate discussion, that's gonna be June.
Yep.
And 75 capital reserves fund policy, fund balance policy. That's, she put that off to
That was
June?
Because she was gonna get us money, the amount.
Amanda, anything that has Michelle's name on it, can you change it to Kristen?
Yep.
Good catch.
Yep, a good point too. All right, so 75 is June. 76, discuss revising irrigation ban trigger levels and bylaws. I don't know that that's like a burning issue. I think I put that in there. It was just kind of the way our bylaws are written right now. I don't think we're ever gonna actually implement that, you know. I mean, we normally we have the regular stance, we have odd even. Then we go into odd even from 5 AM to 8 AM, 5 PM to 8 PM.
Do we want to leave it on here? If we want to make a bylaw change, that would have to be the annual meeting.
Yeah,
So
yeah. So let's just leave it here and,
Isn't this a work session? Seems to be a little bit much for a meeting. To hash that out and make a proposal for a meeting, for an annual meeting.
you think?
Yeah. Maybe not the next one, right? But a work session that might be coming down the line.
Yeah.
I know last time we had this kind of discussion, it was a work session. It was like 3 years ago. 2 years ago, maybe.
we wanted to include in a budget work session. That's where we kind of get, well, that's, or do we want to separate?
Well, this is more like, isn't this more like an Underwood discussion?
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably want to include them
I
in.
think it'd be changing the bylaw to match either or. Either or, guys, I know we have all, you know, the time. It was kind of to the state and then the bylaws reflect something different.
Yeah. I mean, I was just kind of looking for consistency because it's this real convoluted thing where it's Mondays and Wednesdays and then it's Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays and
I don't think it
can't
necessarily has to be.
force that. It's-
We've made changes to bylaws before.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, can this be as simple as you pointing out what your concerns are
I
and staff
probably
making a proposal?
yeah. I could, yeah. Why don't you put me under that one since I put my foot in my mouth now?
Do it later dates, so it doesnn't get
Yeah.
lost. That's more of my concern.
Day that I have time to tack this. 2040, no.
Well, I'm not saying that you need to make the change. You're just pointing out what the inconsistencies are and then
Yeah,
staff is making the proposal.
And what I was gonna consider was something in the. When we're working, preparing budgets and warrant articles would be the time to.
all right, I see what you're saying about that then. Yeah,
So it doesn't get forgotten, so
yeah.
date it out that far, it's gonna be there when we.
So that would
But
be
if you-
November.
Yeah.
Do like November, so it starts like before we get into heavy
Yeah.
budget stuff, kind of at the beginning.
I think it's a pretty simple change,
Yeah. No,
you know? It's actually less complicated to go to what I'm talking about than what is there now. So it should make it a little easier to follow. And we've implemented this in the past.
Mhm.
It was a modified whatever level 3 or whatever the heck the levels are, but yeah, so let's put that for November. And
Okay.
maybe in the November packet, we can put what is in the bylaw. It's probably just a page or two or something, I think. So everybody can see what's in there.
We can have the current policy or
That's what I mean.
that in the bylaw. Yeah, we can put back up.
Okay. All right, so where are we at? Number 77? Create a meeting request form outlining date, time, scope, attendance. Yeah, I don't know if we want to put a time frame on that one.
July?
That's fine. Okay, we're gonna assume later.
All right, so we'll try to get something at the July meeting. So you want to put that on number 77, Amanda?
Yep.
All right. All right, so what were the ones that were added? There was just one or?
we updated well, I mean, aside from just like dates, we updated 3 of them. So number 74 will now include a discussion with Underwood to discuss the rate increase.
I see.
Number 40 is the potential date of August 26th. The 43 is the doodle poll for a summer meeting. And then you added to investigate zeolite suppliers,
Oh, yeah.
their PFAS remediation.
All right, good. Got everything? Else has anything that? Okay, so number 5 on the agenda, old business. Do you have any old business? Good.
Jamie and had put in for the watershed planning grant. That was the salt.
Yeah.
It was 80,000 grant. There was no match required at the time. Since then, I know Jamie had it done, turned it in, and they actually requested additional tasks. They been throwing things to it. So he's asking if we could put like 20 grand to it. They added like there's now 22 tasks.
Is that what this email is here? Is that something else?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay. All right. So you're saying there are now 22 work tasks that we will be required to be performed. Oh, so the rest of this is just the what his responses are to these questions and things, I guess. All right, so he says he's asking the MVD authorize an additional 20,000 to support the work.
There's really no outline of the work that he's asking approval for.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was gonna ask you, if you actually talked to him or if he just emailed.
I talked to him briefly, but one thing I didn't pull, and I wanted to look, and after writing it, there's now 22 work tasks. I don't remember how many there was before, so.
Right.
Right. Like, are we asking for additional money for like additional scope or
That's,
question?
yeah, he apparently had, it was like 2 weeks ago, he'd gotten it completed, turned in, and then like this, they kind of changed it up a little bit, and
But why aren't they paying for that then?
well, it was gonna be a tight for what they were offering. For the grant was 80 grand. What the work involved, Jamie thought it was gonna be tight to begin with, but he was gonna try to work within it. And now adding these extra tasks. Just.
So who would have the extra task, DS?
Yes, they kind of changed the scope of what they were looking for within the grant.
Yeah, that's kind of, if they're assigning work and we're paying for it, that's kind of weird.
Well, they're gonna, yes.
Okay,
There-
I mean, it may still make sense, but it's still weird. They should have contacted us first and say, hey, we would like to have that additional work done. Are you guys
Okay.
right?
And I think they're overloading what the scope is, and the grant is for 80,000. And just Jamie doesn't think he's gonna be able to do it for that. It wasn't a matching grant before. we're kind of hoping to go into it with already, if there was a matching grant that we've spent so much over the, you know, past years on salt reduction that kind of hoping that would kind of carry through if there was a match portion.
I like where he says, I believe this is the ticket we need to get the DOT serious about working with us, is they will have to participate and respond to the DES and EPA implementation plan regarding this initiative. That's good. I'm not against it. I just think for us to approve it, we probably need like an official contract extension from Jamie, I think. Is he looking for us to approve, like to say, go ahead with the,
He was looking to see if we were in favor of it, but if that's what we need to take a look at a scope, I can get that. I will ask him for that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
guess I'd like to see his scope of work and see what
change?
what additional.
What's been added
is.
kind of thing?
Right. Right. Which is probably all he was expecting. I wouldn't I don't think we could even authorize something like this because it doesn't have it's just an email, right?
Right.
So.
Yeah.
He's probably just gauging us to see if we want to,
Exactly.
if he wants to proceed with putting out a revised scope of work to us or something.
I mean, we probably, if DS is asking for it as part of the grant, if we want the $80,000 grant, we probably don't have that much of a choice.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, we got that grant.
So we have the grant in hand.
We got that.
I don't know if we got it. We're pretty much gonna get it because I think we're the only ones that put in for it. How's the amount of work
Right.
that's going into
Right,
this
he just
grant?
can't do the amount of work for that
Right.
price.
But I'll have.
I guess, I mean, I don't know if unless we don't want to do it all together, but
No,
it is kind of weird. It was like a bait and switch thing almost.
it is,
you know?
and you know, Jamie
But
apologizes.
it's not Jamie, it's the.
No, no,
Right,
but I mean, this happens every time we get a grant like that through Jamie, no offense. Now, these grants have also added value, but have they added 6-digit values repeatedly? I don't know.
know.
It's just, it's that bait and switch thing is bothering me a little.
Sodium and chloride still going up in our wells.
Yeah, but is this gonna make a change to it or anything comparison? I mean, he claims that, right? And I don't know. I'm not opposing it, but it certainly, we need more substance. We can't just,
Yeah. And you know, if $20,000 spent gets $100,000 of value, when you add the $80,000 grant, that's a good deal.
Right.
it's just weird that DES can tack on
It
more
is.
work
No, I
and then
don't-
ask us to pay for it, basically. I realize they probably didn't ask Jamie to go to us and ask for it. The question is, should we have a conversation with DES and saying that they're willing to pay some of that too, since they're asking for that additional work to be done? That might actually be fair, right? A call to DES and say, hey, we got approached by, Emery and Garrett, we're not quite sure where this is coming from. You guys are asking for additional work that's costing us money. Are you willing to,
I guess I'm wondering is there DES correspondence that says
Yes,
yeah.
this was
that too.
original, this is
Mhm.
now what we need,
yeah, can you add this and this?
Yeah. So I guess ask Jamie for an actual revised contract.
Yeah.
And then if he can also give us whatever I don't know if they just called him about this or if
Right,
they
or if there's
actually,
like a meeting in person or, yeah, if there's
Yeah.
any backup.
like where,
For the scope change.
where's,
Back. They've been very helpful as far as helping, as far as filling out the forms and all of that and kind of.
you talking about Emery and Garrett?
Emery in the state, they've been really
Yeah.
working, they're really gung ho on this, the state is as well. This would be the first one. How to present the word. It's the first one in the state. Plan, watershed plan in the state that's got the DES backing and EPA.
Huh.
So we're kind of groundbreaking here as far as that goes. Will anybody else do it? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely, we're just looking at some of these graphs and the sodium and chloride isn't changing, so,
Definitely the model, so that,
yeah. And I know DES has their eye on us. I know Brandon Kernan called me, I don't know, 6 months ago and he said, do you mind if we use some of these graphs? I'm having some presentation somewhere and you wanted to show the graphs that we have of the sodium and chloride as an impacted community for sodium and chloride. And I said, absolutely go and show it because I want to get our, popularity out there more. And here's an opportunity where it's possibly paying us back to have this. Yeah.
The
All right.
problem is we're talking about a 22% increase yet again, right, at the same time, right? So we can't just
I know.
casually wave this through. So there has to be substance behind it.
Yes, no, absolutely.
Ugh. Okay. So that was old business?
Yes.
Any other old business, anybody? The only things I would remember, I wanted to ask you, which I don't know if it's in your superintendent report. If it is, we'll wait to that, but is there any follow-up on the water line extension grants that we did get? We did get 3 of them, right?
They're,
Or two of them, right? 2 for $1.5 million?
yes, they're still with government. They're waiting on governor and council to be signed.
Oh, they are, okay, because I was gonna ask, like, I thought that might have already occurred, and I was gonna say, what's the design process, what are we doing on that, but. So we're kind of still just waiting for executive council, it's kind of been waiting that way for a few months now, hasn't it?
But do they have a date?
I think we'll put a whole bunch on the schedule and we'll get through as many as they can. And then
Okay.
we'll just put it top of the schedule for the next one.
You get top.
I'm just anticipating, our reps that brought it to our attention and the customers who have been wanting to
I've had a
get
few,
connected.
I've had a few calls in
Trying
between.
to lay out.
As soon as I know, you'll know, and
Right. Is there any way we could start advancing Underwood to design some of that stuff yet, or?
I'm just thinking the same thing.
If they invoice us for it, won't be covered
Yeah,
until government council approves.
all right. So I guess the ball's not in our court. We're not holding it up. It's governor's council holding it up.
And the ones that I have talked to, I said, hopefully if it can go this year, it'll go this year. If not, it'll be next construction season. I hope really hope for this one.
Yeah. All right, and the other one was, what's the status of our Pennachuck wholesale agreement?
Still waiting to go to PUC, right?
PUC.
Department of Energy was fine with it.
The last thing that they approved the contract. Yeah, so it's.
They made change, they recommended changes. So it's still waiting at the PUC.
All right, so
And they know the timeframe, so that's.
So when this goes into effect, it's gonna be from that date annually, basically. Cause we're really gonna be using all the water in the summer.
Right.
Plant, cause we don't need it in the
We had
winter.
a. Start date was June.
Was it out that far? Okay,
I think it might have been June for this year. I can look, I have to look, I don't recall the date of.
all right, I didn't know, if
It was that half year, that,
yeah,
not half year, what do I call it? Stub year. Because of when the contract, when it potentially gets to the PUC and gets signed and put into place, so.
okay,
But on that, I do write it in my notes. We did the reconciliation of the. The last special rate, special contract. And we're actually gonna be getting back,
Originally it was 18,000. PUC went through it, came back to us with 46,000.
we're getting rebate,
getting a credit, 46 or a rebate or a credit.
wow,
I thought of, last time I talked to Donna, maybe we use this as a credit. And that knocks off what we use. Giving it back to us, and then have to give it back to them, which is.
huh. Oh, well, it's good news.
Should we create action items for those two?
Um,
We don't forget those. And you guys have a chance to prepare for it for the next meeting.
I guess what would you, how would you want to word that?
Just staff to give update on each of those monthly until resolved,
Okay,
just as an idea. So you don't have to remember,
yeah,
and they don't have to remember.
yeah. All right,
It's up to you.
No, I'm fine with that. I mean,
It's just an idea.
yeah, at least that way it gets considered every time we review it. All right, so next, add another action item, Amanda, for staff follow-up on water line extension status,
Okay,
and then another one for staff to follow up on Penachuk wholesale agreement. And those will just be like monthly updates, I guess.
yeah,
okay,
Okay,
awesome,
Yeah,
thank you.
Undated, yeah, just monthly.
yeah, and if there's no update, we'll just put it for the next.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. So that I don't have to remember to bring it up under old business every time. Yeah. All right, so new business. Do we have any new business?
I have a quick one. Now that we have Aaron, we can maybe question a little bit some of our practices, right? And one of them that I wondered for the longest time is us reading the preamble of the agenda.
Yeah.
Because you either have that data and the Zoom login information from looking at the agenda before the meeting, that you have the information
Yeah, you-
logged onto it,
Couldn't log in to then hear him
right? But if
give the information to
No.
then log.
no,
in.
no, that's the problem. Unless you don't have this information, you're not gonna hear anything he's saying. So really, all we need here, in my opinion, is that in general, public participation is offered by webinar. For information to, attend, to log on, to connect or call into the webinar. Please refer to each one's agenda, and then we're done with the sentence ramble. I guess everything you read here doesn't add any value
No.
because who doesn't have it
No,
already
sir.
by looking at this agenda yesterday or this morning and having this information is not going to hear it in the meeting. And once they listen to it during, in the recording of the meeting,
Right.
it's obsolete information because the next meeting is going to have different login codes.
I think they're all the
Kind
same,
of-
no.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, no, not.
No, because you're creating a new meeting every month, right? So these are not the same. So
It's the same call-in number, but it's not
the
the same,
number, yeah, but not the webinar ID, right? And the link changes every time. So
right? I don't read the link anyway.
just thankfully.
I used to, I remember that.
Yeah, but I really think this doesn't
Right,
help anything at all. It's just taking time out of the meeting. It's cumbersome for you.
Can I ask a question that's kind of silly? Why do we do public participation by webinar? Why can't, like, nobody else, none of the other town boards or anything do that? Everybody else is, if you want to public participate in a meeting, you go to the meeting.
It's leftover from the,
I think,
COVID.
yeah, this all came over from COVID, but
just kept.
and when
Okay.
yeah, yeah.
it hasn't hurt us, in fact, I think it's good. So it doesn't, and there is no effort really at this
Right.
point either, right?
Once you start, you can't stop.
Right.
So expect it. That's-
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Every now and then.
But at least we can make that sentence just less painful in future meetings. I think.
Let's see the agenda.
Yeah. If that's fine with you guys, then just, you can, I'll just say public participation is offered by webinar. For information, refer to the meeting agendas.
Yep.
Posted agenda.
Posted on Merrimack, MVDwater.org website.
Yep.
And then I could say Merrimack TV's recording,
Yep.
gonna be played and all this stuff.
Yeah, because reading it doesn't really do anybody any good,
It really
Right.
does.
because if you don't have it, you can't hear you read it.
I know. But telling the audience
Like
where to look,
Inception.
yeah, but by telling the audience where to look at every meeting.
Yeah,
Then they know for the
for
next.
next
meeting.
time. Yeah,
Yeah. All right, that's cool.
okay.
Maybe on the next one, just take off the,
Well, I leave all that stuff on there because it's.
oh, it's on the agenda.
Yeah.
Yeah, all right, all right. all right.
Because they have to look at it.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, all right. I'll remember not to get into all those crazy numbers and stuff next time. I'm fine with that.
I figured you were.
Yeah.
Sort of thing that you.
All right, so if that's all for new business, then superintendent report.
I had two things, but we already talked about block 5, so. I. Remember back, I mentioned to you a while ago that I talked to, New Hampshire Municipal Association. They had some questions on, so Catherine Heck, I believe, was looking at, interested in like GAC. They were doing this, what was funding and legislation and stuff, and had some questions on GAC, and I said, well, down the road, if any of the senators want a tour, just let me know. They can walk them through, they can kind of see what's involved in this, when towns will be, or water departments will be looking for this funding. So I do have a tour May 30th with Senator Denise Riccardi. And take a look, and thrilled to take a look, have a tour. So
You gonna bring her to some treatment plants or something, or?
yeah, show the 4 million gallon tank as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, the treatment plants, and if she wants to do multiple, we can do. Kind of leave it up to her what she wants to see, and if she wants to do them all, that's fine. If she's fine with just one, and understand the process and what's involved with the treatment.
Yep.
Size of the building. Yeah,
So I don't know that, Senator.
She might be on the HB 737 commission,
Right.
because I think, I just had that in the last meeting on Friday, and I think I remember her. She couldn't participate in those because there was a time conflict, so we changed the meetings to the afternoons on Friday instead. And she was able to make that one, so I think that was her that sat in on the first one.
So without knowing,
District 9. there was
Okay.
the Hudson.
so without knowing party affiliation, we just want to make sure that we have an understanding what the expectations are for that visit, right? If that person is coming with an entourage and the press and is making a big thing out of it, we just have to really know that ahead of time, right? Because that's kind of
My understanding, which is
what got us into trouble last time. Not trouble, but
yeah, no, it was.
Or someone on staff or something.
Yeah, I mean, and I threw it out to the New Hampshire Municipal Association, to anybody that's looking at it, if they want to come out and see. So it was thrown out there. She was the only one that really wanted to take a look, and my understanding is just going to be she's the only one.
sounds good.
All right. All right, good. That it?
Yep.
Okay, so questions from the press and public. Let me check if anybody's on the participation list there. Doesn't look like it. It usually isn't. All right. All right, so that being said, the next meeting is scheduled for June 19th. And good thing we don't have Juneteenth off, because then we wouldn't be able to go to the meeting. So with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. That was a
I will make
topic
the
in the
motion
past.
to
that's why.
adjourn.
Seconded.
Motion by Aaron, second by Wolf. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. We'll see you next month.